Hello friends! So it's time for another reading vlog. This reading vlog was kind of spur of the moment. What happened was I did a video where I was looking at the Reading Women Challenge from the Reading Women podcast, which I will leave in the cards above a link to that video where I talk about it, and I will leave in the description a link to the website. But basically it's a collection of challenges to make you read more diverse books by women. And one of the challenges was to read a fantasy book by an Asian author. And this year, 3 books that kind of come under the fantasy genre, although only one of them is actually classified as fantasy by my library, which is where I've got all of these books. But these 3 books were all books that were anticipated releases for me. So I thought maybe it would be fun to do a vlog where I read all 3 of them. Books by Asian authors that have fantasy, magic realist elements. I am not a high fantasy reader, so that was never going to be my thing, but these all have magical folklore kind of elements. So I've got these 3 books. But the other thing is that today is Sunday. I have started reading one of these, but I need to finish this by Thursday because I'm going away on Tuesday, and then on Friday we're off to Cornwall. And when we're in Cornwall, I'm not sure how good our Wi-Fi will be and all that, so I want to get this video uploaded by next Thursday. So I've got a lot of reading to do between now and then. We'll start with the one that's fantasy, which is also the one that I've started reading, and that is Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. I know a lot of people have been talking about this. And this is about a girl called Jess who moved away from Malaysia when she was 4 years old to the States, and now she's 19 and they are moving back to Malaysia. But she starts hearing the voice of the ghost of her Ama, which is her grandmother. And her grandmother worshipped the Blackwater Sister, who is a traditional Malaysian goddess, and a businessman offended her goddess and she wants revenge. And so she starts taking control of Jess's body. So I think it's going to be quite a dark, fantastical novel with a lot of Malaysian folklore involved. Then another one which has folklore involved is Build Your House Around My Body by Violet Kupersmith, and this one is set in Vietnam. And this is the one that is the least fantastical, I think, but it definitely has been described as including Vietnamese folklore and ghost stories. So it's set over 2 time periods, one of which is in 1986, and the daughter of a wealthy Vietnamese family gets lost on a rubber plantation. And then 25 years later, another woman, a Vietnamese American woman, disappears from her family home in Saigon. And the fates of these 2 women are linked, bound together by ghosts and ancestors. And so this book spans a century of Vietnamese history, uses a lot of folklore, is kind of a mystery all mixed in with horror, kind of ghost story. So it might not be fantasy, but I think there is definitely supernatural elements to this. And then the final one, She Who Would Be King by Shelley Parker Chan, and this one is a bestseller. So this one has been very, very popular, and my library classifies it as historical. But again, I think there's folkloric elements. I don't know if it's historical fantasy, or if it is just historical fiction. But from reading the blurb, it kind of seemed fantastical to me. 2 children who go and see a fortune teller. The son is supposed to win everything, and the girl is supposed to get nothing. But her brother dies, and so she dresses up as him in 1345 when China is under the harsh Mongol rule. And so disguised as her brother, she enters a monastery and has to claim her brother's great destiny as her own. So I don't know how much this will be fantastical, but I don't know. I just feel like there was fantastical elements to it. And I think that on Waterstones, it was classified as both history and fantasy. So I think there's going to be fantastical elements. So these are my 3 books. And then also this week we are, I'm working tomorrow and Tuesday, but then we are off to the seaside. So I think there should be some fun elements of this video as well. Ooh. Hello, hopefully I'm in frame. So I filmed the intro to this vlog this morning, which you can probably tell because I probably look like a more dishevelled version of that girl. But I have barely been reading today. I've been very busy doing vlog stuff for the last vlog that went up on this channel, which was my Women in Translation Month Readathon, which I'll leave in the cards above if you are interested in that. But I have started listening to the audiobook version of Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. I also noticed that Zen Cho is quoted on the back of She Who Became the Sun, saying it's a master storyteller revealing a dazzling new world, and that S.A. Chakravarti is quoted on the back of both of them. So clearly they have a lot in common, which is a little worrying because I'm listening to the beginning of this, and the writing style is definitely not to my taste. It's not difficult to read, but that's the thing, it's very conversational, very new adult, I guess, like very explaining everything to you. It's a very simple story, and possibly that's what I need right now, a little break from my brain, because I just found out today, well, I just realised today that I have read 12 books already this month, so I'm very busy this month, but yeah, I'm not loving it, but we haven't quite, like, she's realised how Amma is talking to her, but we haven't quite got into like the root of the reason for this mystery and the darkness yet, so hopefully it will get a bit more enjoyable. But I feel like this is going to be a very, very plot heavy adventure fantasy kind of book, which is not usually my style, but I'm going to give it a go. Right now I'm going to continue listening to that whilst I fold up all of my laundry, and then I'm probably going to start on She Who Became the Sun, because I want to give this one a go. This is, I think, probably the one I'm most excited for. We'll see how it goes. Hello, so we are just about to leave to go to Dorset. I haven't talked to you for the past 2 days because I've been at work, and I'm really rubbish at updating on work days because obviously I'm at work all day, I don't tend to film there, and then when I get home I'm just like turn into a giant sloth. So I haven't updated you, but I am now halfway through Blackwater Sister, and it is super plotty. There's a lot going on, a lot happening, and I don't really feel like any of the characters have any depth. Even the main character, I don't really know much about her, apart from the fact that like she's not straight and she is like keeps things from her family. I feel like she's a very like one-dimensional character, and I feel like all of the characters are kind of like that. It feels almost, to me, I don't know if this is just because my experience of like more fantasy based stuff is from when I was younger, but it feels like it could be YA, like the very colloquial, very simple writing, the high action level, the very simplistic morals, everything just feels a little YA to me. There's not as much like nuance and depth as I would prefer. I think I'm still going to finish it because it's all right, but it's definitely not my type of thing. Then I'm also reading She Who Became the Sun, and I'm about a third of the way through that one as well. And unfortunately, again, the writing style is not my favourite. It's very simple. There's not a lot of description going on, and we are jumping through time quite speedily. We're in the early part. So it's about Zhu Zhongba, who founded the Ming Dynasty in China, but in this story, it's a girl who's like pretending to be her brother, and she's currently a monk in a monastery, and it's at the time when the Mongols ruled China, but there's a rebellion going on, and it's just action-packed, this, and very simple characters again. I think I prefer this to Blackwater Sister because I like historical fiction and because I enjoy the time period, and it doesn't have so much annoying to me colloquial language. Like, I can enjoy colloquial language when it's setting up a time or a place, but when it feels just very much like modern American colloquial language that kind of doesn't really resonate with the place, as in we're in modern Penang in Malaysia and in Blackwater Sister, I mean, but because the character's a modern American girl who grew up in America, it's very like American, and it just feels jarring to me. Whereas in She Who Became the Sun, we are in 14th century China, so there isn't any of that. The actual setting of place doesn't feel particularly strong, which is what I've always said I like about historical fiction, is to feel like I'm really in the place. It is reminding me kind of very slightly of Across the Nightingale Floor, which was a fantasy series that I read when I was a teenager. So again, I feel like everything feels a little more YA to me, and I don't know if by YA I mean like commercial, accessible writing maybe, but I don't think that the books that I love are inaccessible. There's just some more focus on the language. Like, this is focus on the story, and the language is just used to get the story across as clearly as possible, whereas I prefer actual focus on form and structure and word choice, and I feel like neither of these books are doing that, which is unfortunate. But because it's historical, I feel like that is why I feel a little more drawn to continue She Who Became the Sun, because I am intrigued by like the political machinations that are going on. And then I think I've already packed it So I'm also going to read, I'm taking all 3 of them with me to the seaside, to Dorset. So I'm going to start on Build Your House Around My Body. I think, as far as I'm aware, this is the most literary of the 3, so hopefully I will enjoy this one. And I'll take you with me as we go to the seaside. Maybe there'll be some actual exciting vlog footage now. Fingers crossed, and touch wood and all that. Come for a little walk by the seaside, right now in kind of a rocky part right by the actual water. It's a glorious day, really sunny, really nice. So we've just come for a walk along the coastline, and then we've come to this kind of folly fake castle thing where there's a cafe, and had lunch here. Again, I have done no reading. Did no reading yesterday on the drive and then being here, but hopefully I'll do some reading later and then I can actually talk to you about the books. But just having a lovely holiday really by the seaside. It's very nice. So we've arrived in Cornwall at the place we're staying. It was intended to finish this vlog before we got to Cornwall, but obviously holidaying meant less reading. We are still obviously on holiday now in Cornwall, so hopefully I will do some more reading between now and then. But my phone is about to die. I just thought I would give you a quick tour of the Airbnb where we're staying. So this is the garden. You can see they've got like rhubarb and different stuff they're growing, which is cool. And this is it. It's a converted farmer's barn. And then inside, looks like this. It's just one big room. We literally haven't unpacked yet because, as you can tell, but they've got this big barn door, and it's got like this little window seat where you can sit at the dining table, and this kitchen. There's an oven in there and a fridge in there. So that's a hob. It's got kind of everything you'd need. And then there's little stable doors. We've got a wood burning stove, probably won't use since it is the summer, but we do have one. And then this is where the bed is, and those are our cupboards where we keep our clothes and stuff. And behind this door is the bathroom. So got a little shower, very little shower, and then a loo obviously, and little cupboards everywhere, which is, oh, that was cool. When I walked in here, this bit just lit up, very cool. Yeah, there you go, you can see the shower a bit better now. And it's a whole wet room, so that's nice. So it is Saturday morning now, and today we are going to a wedding, which is why we're in Cornwall for a wedding. But I probably won't see you for the rest of today because obviously I'll be busy from like 12 till 12, so I probably won't see you. I might insert a clip of what I look like before I go to the wedding or something like that, because you always just see me in jammies, so it might be nice to look nice on camera for once. But I'm here to talk to you about books, not about weddings. So I am very, there we go. I am very nearly almost finished Blackwater Sister by Zincho. We're about this far through, so this is how much I have left, which is, yeah, like 50 pages left. And I just can't be bothered to wait till the end to talk to you. We're about to get into like the big final confrontation between the gods and the bad people and everything, and it's no better than it was to begin with. The writing is really simple, really over-explanatory, which I've talked about before on this channel. It's something that I don't enjoy, where a writer makes everything really, really obvious to the reader. Like there are things that the main character is realising that I realised like a third of a book ago, because it was so obvious, but why did our main character not realise it? And she's like, oh well, I must have been distracted by everything else that was going on. I'm like, for God's sake, if you have to put in a line about why it's so ridiculous that your main character hasn't realised the main thing, then probably it's not really working, which is kind of how I feel about this book. The writing, yeah, like really basic. The drama is really like telenovela style drama, like it's really, oh my god, well, it's not like twins, the evil twins in Amnesia, but, and like the all-powerful gods, there's no like explanation of the magic or limits to the magic, things can just happen. So very Deus Ex Machina in that style, and yeah, it's just really not for me. It's definitely got fantasy elements, so it works for the prompt, but for me it's just really poorly written, and I don't care about the plot, and it just keeps happening. And I feel like the characters are very unfleshed out and also doing stupid things like that don't make any sense all the time. And it doesn't really go into deep. It's like it talks a bit about Malaysian culture, but I would have liked more like concrete details and less, oh, we're doing this because it's traditional. This is what our Malaysian aunties, they're always like this. And it's like, you're not being concrete enough. You're just explaining things away by saying that. And it's, yeah, I'm just not really into it. So the other book that I'm reading, I'm halfway through She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker-Chan. And this one, again, the writing is not my favourite. Again, it's really simple. I would say definitely there is fantasy elements in this, so it does work for this prompt because, as I said, it's been classified as historical. So I wasn't sure how fantasy it was. It's very, very light, the fantasy elements of this, but there is some like magical ghosts and stuff in here, so I would count it as having fantasy elements. So the writing still is very stilted, but there is a little more concrete detail, and I don't know if that's because it's historical, and I prefer historical stuff, but also because there has to be concrete detail for it to feel historical at all. So I guess maybe that's why. But again, the writing's really simple. The characters, I would say, have more depth than the other one. At least some of the characters, but everybody's motivations are really explained. Everybody understands everybody's motivations all the time, so that the characters from whose perspective you're seeing things can explain the motivations of someone else. That's supposed to be really like mysterious, but they know exactly their motivations for everything, and they always are proved right. So it's not like they're making false assumptions from their position of ignorance. They are like proved to be right. So it's just to ensure that the reader knows. And that doesn't, I don't like it when that happens, that annoys me. But regardless, it is a more intriguing plot for me. And whilst it is moving fairly quickly, I wouldn't say it's as like hectic as Blackwater Sister. I feel like maybe because they are grand historical actions, they feel less forced than the Blackwater Sister narrative does. So yeah, I am enjoying this one, but it might just be because I like historical things and I'm intrigued by the like Mongol rulership of China and the Red Turban Rebellion. I'm like intrigued by those things and looking stuff up, so that might be the reason that I prefer this one, purely because of that historical element, and I'm always interested in the past. So that could be the reason, because the writing, yeah, it's still not great. I do think it's better, but it's still not great. So today I'm hopefully going to start, this morning before we go, I'm hopefully going to start Build Your House Around My Body, and I am fingers crossed hoping this one is a little more literary than the other two, a little more, sorry if you can hear my partner having a shower, a little more literary than the other ones, so the writing style's a bit more to my taste. It might not be fantasy at all, though, so who knows, but fingers crossed, and I will try and come back to you at some point. We'll see what happens. I do have a wedding to go to. Hello, so as I said yesterday, we went to the wedding, so there was very little reading, very little filming, but today we are off to the beach. Again, very little reading because my books that I've brought with me are library books, so I don't want to take them to the beach, but hopefully we will have a nice time at the beach. I can show you some of that, and we're following someone, so my partner is revving the car. Really mature. Hello, so it is Monday, bank holiday, Monday, August now, and I am just about to go home. Yeah, so I'm just going home now, we're just about to leave. I have got to about 2/3 of the way through this one, She Who Became the Sun, and still the same. I am there's a window there. I am intrigued by the historical aspect. I'm enjoying the plot actually of this, but the characters feel quite flat and the writing's not my favourite. I think I basically said everything in the last clip, I think, probably. For God's sake. Then I am also, I've started Build Your House Around My Body. I'm about 20% of the way through this one now. And the writing is not my favourite, but I do think out of the 3 books so far, this one has the best writing style. There's some beautiful passages. I'm a bit more intrigued as to what's going on. Things are moving slower, and there's more of a mystery in this one. I think it's a little clumsy. It doesn't quite live up to my preferred writing style, but it definitely has made more of an effort in terms of beautiful writing. It's not like Blackwater Sister, where the writing was simply to get the plot across. There was nothing else to it. This one does have some beauty to it and some intriguing kind of mystery. I've discovered nothing so far. It's all very much a setup for the mystery and what's going on. But yeah, I think I'm going to like this one. Well, hopefully. I will try and talk to you again a bit later. I was hoping to have finished all 3 of these books by now, and obviously I haven't. I think I was probably a bit too ambitious. I, generally speaking, can read 3 books in a week. It's not a problem, but we've been away on holiday and it's not just been me and my partner when usually there's some downtime where I can do some reading. It's been a very social weekend, so I've not had as much time for reading as I would prefer, generally speaking. But we have a 6-hour drive home now, so I might be able to get some reading done in the car, just being completely antisocial, and leave my partner to do the driving and read myself. We'll see. So I'll talk to you a bit maybe when we get home about how I feel about the rest of the books. I'm hoping to get this up today, this video, so we'll see. Probably not, but I'm crossing my fingers. And I will see you later.